This is the Georgia Freeman and Anti-Status Atheist here to discuss the case against the law. Please check out my website at gafreeman.com. That's gafreeman.com. For background, check out the videos listed in the description below. This is where I set my previous information up. So as always, let's begin with definitions. These definitions that follow are according to Black's Law Dictionary, 3rd Pocket Edition. Force. This is power, violence, or pressure directed against a person or thing. Law. The regime that orders human activities and relations through systematic application of the force of politically organized society, or through social pressure backed by force. In such a society, it's also called the legal system. This is the aggregate legislature, judicial precedents, and accepted legal principles, the body of the authoritative grounds of judicial and administrative action, the set of rules or principles dealing with specific area of the legal system. Legal is of or relating to law, falling within the province of law, or an action or undertaking that creates a legally recognized obligation, such as an act that binds a person in some way. Power. Power is the ability to act or not to act. Also, dominance, control, or influence over another, control over one's subordinates. The legal right or authorization to act or not act. A person's or organization's ability to alter by an act of will the rights, duties, liabilities, or other legal relations either of that person or of another. Judge. This is a public official appointed or elected to hear and decide legal matters in court. Legislate, to make or enact laws, to bring something into or out of existence by making laws, to attempt to control something by legislation. Legislation, the process of making or enacting a positive law in written form according to some type of formal procedure by branch of government constituted to perform this process. A crime is an act that the law makes punishable, the breach of the legal duty treated as a subject matter of a criminal proceeding. Offense is a violation of the law, a crime. To discuss what a judge is, first let's define public. Public is relating to or belonging to an entire community, state, or nation, open or available for all to use, share, or enjoy. Officer, a person who holds an office of trust, authority, or command. In public affairs, the term refers especially to a person holding public office under a national, state, or local government and authorized by the government to exercise some specific function. So judges are supposed to be open to everyone and enjoyed by everyone, right? Authority, the right or permission to act legally on behalf of another, the power delegated by a principal to an agent. Government power or jurisdiction, a government agency or corporation that administers a public enterprise. A legal writing taken as definitive or decisive, a source such as a statute, case, or treatise cited in support of a legal argument. Government, the structure of principles and rules determining how a state organization is regulated. The sovereign power and nation or state, an organization through which a body of people exercises political authority, the machinery by which sovereign power is expressed. Jurisdiction, a government's general power to exercise authority over all persons and things within its territory. A court's power to decide a case or issue a decree, a geographical area within which political or judicial authority may be exercised. Hopefully you can see why I love definition. If force is violence against a person, and the law is the systematic application of force, and authority is governmental power or jurisdiction, and jurisdiction is general power, and power is the legal right of dominance over subordinates, then the government by way of the legal system is telling you how they get their power. It all begins with the willingness to use force by a small group of people. Then, the large group of people being ruled and monitored must believe in the idea of these rulers and be willing to follow the rules that are set by these people and their opinions. Once this belief in authority and the fear of the small minority's power is in place, then that minority can rule by threat of force. This rule is set in motion by what are called laws. If we go by the definitions I have previously provided for you, then laws are opinions set forth by men and backed by a gun. By opinions, I mean that by definition, a law is simply a statement of someone's preference that you must do, positive law, or must not do, negative law. Then, when they have put that preference on paper and the minority has voted on it, They put in place a punishment for doing what they declare is wrong. In essence, the law is nothing more than an opinion backed by a gun. The law is set on the basis of comply or die. How and why can I say this? Let me give you an example. I have already in previous videos and blogs given the example that if you do not stop for a so-called officer when they've turned on their flashing lights and are accosting you in your car, then you will be attacked, injured, and thrown in a cage or killed. If I need to restate this example, then briefly, the law is written that thou shalt not drive faster than 70 miles an hour. You are traveling in your car at a speed of 82 miles an hour on an open road where no traffic or weather is present. An official sees you and uses some means to clock your speed and says that you're traveling too fast because you have violated that written code without injuring anyone or violating any rights. They will turn on their flashing lights and chase you down. You must stop and comply, or they will call in other violent men or women in costumes with guns and flashing lights. Then, if you still do not stop, they will run you off the road. If you are not killed and they do not shoot you, then you will be put in chains and thrown in a cage. Conversely, what if you are a young 19-year-old who can join the army and go and kill or be killed in the name of the government? What if you decide to have a beer? What if you are caught by another one of these costumed gentlemen with a gun? What happens if you don't feel like being detained or accepting the ticket? What happens if you don't comply with an officer's orders? The violence will escalate until you comply, are incapacitated, in chains, or dead. Let's talk about the driver's license. One may argue that driver's license laws are valid. However, is the driver's license voluntary? Have you ever thought of this? Why do you really drive safely? First, in no way is the driver's license voluntary. What happens if you are caught traveling in your personal property or your car without a so-called state-issued license? Have you ever looked this up? Do you know what will happen to you? According to FindLaw.com, in every state, traffic laws make it unlawful to operate a motor vehicle when the vehicle operator has never been issued a driver's license from the State Department of Motor Vehicles. The vehicle operator currently has his or her driver's license temporarily suspended, or the vehicle operator has had his or her driver's license permanently revoked. I will tell you what will happen to you if you violate these edicts. First, you may be issued a summons, a nice way of putting a demand to appear. If you do not agree and do not appear, then they will issue a warrant, meaning a written document that says that the men in costumes can come and put you in chains in jail and force you to appear. Once you appear in the official judge's courtroom, under the threat of violence, they will assume that they have authority or jurisdiction over you and that you must obey their rules. Then they will accuse you of violating some rule and say that since the law applies to you because they say so, and that you violated that rule, then you are guilty and must be punished. In this case, in Georgia, they can and will put you in jail, fine you, and suspend your license. Put in terms of reality instead of legal language, they will put you in a cage, steal your money, and take away your rights under threat of violence, all because you simply did not get a permission slip from the men with guns. All because you did not follow an arbitrary law. If at any moment you resist this application of the law, then they will respond in an escalated manner and hurt or kill you. They will apply force to get you to comply with their lawful demands. Thus, the fact of the law is that by its nature, it is comply or die. If the law is based on force and violence and is followed solely under threat of submit or die, then the law is based in violence and not moral in any sense of the word. There is no morality in the law, only aggression. Ultimately, if my argument holds true, then the reason that any of us really follow the law is due to threat, duress, and coercion. Collectively, all of us following the law, whether realizing it or not, do it because we do not want to be aggressed against. With this in mind, can you say that we live in a free society? How could society run without laws? This is a discussion for another day. This discussion is simply a case against the law, and if the law is simply an opinion backed by a gun, then the law has no valid application. To summarize, Laws are written in the name of protection, but who do they protect? If a law is written and is simply an opinion on paper that something is bad, but that opinion states that one should not do it because that piece of paper says so, but you do not hurt anyone or violate anyone else's rights, then why do you have to be accosted or interfered with by a man with a gun? If simply putting words on paper equals giving a man in a costume with a gun the right to interfere with your life when you have hurt no one or violated anyone's rights, then your rights are being violated in the name of the so-called law.